Highly plausible.
The mic is hot.
Like when, because I feel like that society kind of perpetuates both sides. Like I heard, I think it was Charlemagne the God said one time, and it kind of resonated with me. He was like, "We grew up on toxic masculine culture. We grew up on rape culture, and I feel as though, like you were saying, guys as well will, what they say when it's winter. Oh, it's cuffing season. Let me get what I can get out of this woman,
Mhm.
and then just buy and go to. So when your dad cried, and you kind of saw it, where was it just something you were not used to seeing, like you never seen him cry, and then your thought process was, I never seen my dad cry, so men shouldn't cry, or was it just something else?
Um, that's a good question. I think more so for me, it was he never cried. I
Mm,
never saw my dad cry until his mother died.
Mm.
okay.
When his mother died, he
Yeah.
just broke down. Like he lost it.
Hmm.
And I'm just like, you're a man, Dad.
Hmm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I
Right,
didn't
right.
understand it. Um, but I'm gonna say to that point, because even though I love my mom, I felt like she was a toxic feminist too,
Mm,
in terms of how what I viewed her as in pertaining to him. My parents, they have a different type of relationship. My parents have been married since she was 19 and he's
mm,
23. They've been married 51 years in May.
oh,
So what I consider to be a way of communicating, they be like, "Oh, can we cuss on here?"
Yeah.
It's so funny. It's so funny because she be like, "Shut the hell up, Johnny." You're like, "No, you shut the fuck up."
mhm,
And this has been all my life. And so that hardness
Mm.
that I developed from watching their relationship,
right,
even though that's their love language, like that's how they
right,
talk to each other.
right.
As a kid, I don't understand that. So when I take that to a relationship, I'm talking her to a guy that's really just fuzzy and soft, and he don't understand it. And I'm like, get your ass up off the couch. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
that's the way my mama talked, to my dad. I didn't know the difference.
Right.
And it wasn't until he broke up with me that I realized what the difference was, because I was really feeling him like that.
Right, right,
Like,
right,
but apparently he didn't like the way I communicated. And that's totally fine. You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right, right.
So I had to realize that I was toxic. You know what I'm saying? And like what I did was I started watching a lot of these reality shows and the reality shows and watching how they handle relationships.
Hmm.
And the whole relationship on a lot of these reality shows, they start off as, I'm gonna respect my husband, I'm gonna respect my wife, this, that, and the other, but it turns so toxic because that's what sells,
Right.
True,
you
Right.
know?
true. Yep.
So, and when I start looking at that, and as I got older, I'm like, wow, we messed up, you know.
Hmm.
Uh, so
Hmm.
that is how I realized that I was toxic, and how I identified it so well
Okay.
is what I saw every day.
Right.
I
And
think a lot.
yeah,
I think a lot of us been through that. A lot of our
mhm,
parents have been that way. I
mhm,
can't speak for everybody, but I hear a lot of, especially Black people. And I was watching Talib Kweli and Hobson, and Hobson was talking about how that's how his parents were. He didn't understand that domestic abuse and those things being perpetuated in the house and the way they communicated to each other, as you said, because my mom kind of communicated that way as well. That we get as kids, that's that nature and nurture, and that's what we're learning. And then
mhm,
we regurgitate that as we get older, and then we have to break the cycle. So it's a
right,
beautiful thing to hear that you realized that and broke the cycle, as I'm sure Mac has and I have as well. We're trying to break that cycle because we see these things and trying to get to that point where we don't want to be toxic. You know what
right,
I mean? Like even sometimes, and sometimes we may get to a point where you get pissed and you go blah 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 blah, and then you're like, damn, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have communicated that. So it's still
yeah,
those moments where it'll come out, but it doesn't. That one moment doesn't define us as people. You see what I'm saying?
right. Right. And the great thing about what I learned too, and what made me grow is that I chose to be single for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And when I mean a while, you know, so that I can get to know myself
Right.
and understand my triggers so that I can be that good vibe to someone, you know.
Right.
But again, watching that all your life. Now when my parents cuss each other out, me and my sister, we leave. We made a pact that once when they start going off on each other, we get up and leave. So
Mm-hmm.
when it gets out of hand and they see us grabbing our coats, they like, wait a minute, we gonna
Mm-hmm.
be nice.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Now they
Like
change their behavior.
they changing their behaviors.
Right.
And I don't want to hear it because at the end of the day, you have to look at it. My sister's in a relationship, a long relationship, common law, they would call. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not in one, but what I don't want to do is mess up my mind for somebody else. So that's something that I try to do as a prior toxic person
Right.
to at least usher in a good relationship in the future,
Oh man. Dope.
a healthy relationship.
Dope.
Right. Let me throw one quick sidebar in. I would be remiss if I didn't bring this up. Shout out, since this is Black History Month, shout outs to Maria W. Stewart for spearheading the feminist movement back in the early 1800s. She was a Black female slave, and she was the one that actually spearheaded that movement. So y'all can look her up. That's Maria W. Stewart. I had to throw that out there real quick.
Bless. Yes,
Um,
sir.
and also, obviously, some people was like, well, what is the point of this, podcast? Why are you guys on here doing this and that? The whole point is to change the narrative. A lot of us we come from a culture that's been mixed up and messed up and misinformed by the misinformed. So therefore, we are out here speaking and pointing the spotlight to the actual truth, the real truth, the universal truth. So that's why we're here. And one of the things that's why I even came up with this idea is because I kind of like had to step back and look at what was going on with my life and people around me and why they were doing certain things, why I was doing certain things. And when we think about the whole topic of toxic masculinity, toxic femininity, okay, first of all, what makes a person feminine? What makes a person masculine? Beyond the fact that you can anatomically identify somebody as being a male or female, what actually makes me a man? What actually makes Sister Danielle a woman? So on and so forth. So that's another question I like to throw out there to y'all because I would like to get y'all's take on that.
So are we saying does society dictate what's male and what's female? Because for many years that was the standard. Society would say this is what makes you a man. This is what makes you a woman. And a lot of people who are sheep, so to say, will follow that without bearing their own definition of that. And the thing about, I believe, the thing about being masculine and feminine, and it's subjective to everybody's experience. So if you're a person, if you're a young man who grows up in a house full of women, and you can braid hair and you can do those things that's supposed to be for reserved for women, so to say, does that make you any less masculine? Because I have a friend who just he can do hair. He cold with it. He was raised by women, but he still sticks to those things of manhood. You know, what I would believe is not kissing and telling, especially when it comes to your relationship. Your relationship is your relationship. That's not something that the world needs to see. Most men will keep their business private out of respect for their significant other, and women as well. That doesn't necessarily mean that's just a masculine trait, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Um, you know, Back in the day, you had to go out, work long hours. You had to provide. You had to protect. You had to guide. And those are three that I think are masculine traits in the sense of what it was done back in the day. Protect, provide, guide. Those were the three staples. And if you stay within those, those were considered masculine. But now there are women who provide. Does that make them masculine? Are any more masculine than any feminine? So I say all that to say that masculinity, um, kind of like, especially nowadays with toxic masculinity and what we thought was masculine, and toxic femininity, what we thought was feminine, how can we really define what's masculine and what's feminine? You know, I guess we take the good traits out of the masculine side and say, hey, that could be masculine, but it could also be feminine. Oh, you provide. Well, women provide as well. You
Right.
know, especially nowadays with them getting on their bag and their education. Women are more educated than men
Especially
nowadays,
black women, especially black
right?
women.
Especially
Throw that
black
out
women
there.
statistically. So does that make all those feminine women masculine? You know what I'm saying? It's like I said, it's a subjective, it's to experience, and it's to what you've been taught. So, you know, if I can't just sit here, you know, I'd have to sit down for about a year and try to get some guidelines to kind of figure it out.
Right.
But
Well,
I
I'll
mean,
I'll help you. I'll help you kind
please
of
do, please do.
speed it up a little bit because I've been actually mulling over this topic for a little while, and I keep coming to the same kind of like the same answer. It's obviously not a one line answer. It's a long answer,
Mhm.
but I'll give the short version real quick. Let's just kind of think back beyond just the surface. Like we know what a man is, we know what a woman is by definition, by nature, so on and so forth. But if we go back to how everything started, like okay, the man and the woman, if we think about coming together, procreation, you need a man, you need a woman to create a child, right?
Okay.
So you need the two. Obviously a man cannot carry a child for 9 months, and obviously a woman cannot create a child by themselves. So we need the two. And if you think about it, femininity, masculinity are all in all of us. Unfortunately, when we become imbalanced, when we go too far left or too far right, whether you're male or female, that's when you become toxic. Because I'm just 50% of my dad, I'm 50% of my mom. So I'm half
Mhm.
woman, half man. I mean, it's like whoever want to say that's wrong, that's how I look at it and that's how I feel. Like when I'm balanced, I'm actually able to collectively express my emotions, but at the same time, I can definitely kill anybody that comes into my house and tries anything stupid, right?
Mhm.
So, and by the proper training, a woman can do the same thing as a man, right? So it doesn't matter if I can pick up a gun and go to the range or do whatever. The sisters over here she can do the same exact thing. It doesn't make me any more masculine or more well equipped or whatever. The problem is a lot of the things that we think about as far as like information has been suppressed for so long to the point
Mhm.
where okay, stay in your place, woman. You supposed to only have kids and take care of the house and do this and that. The man's supposed to go out and make money and do this and do that. He can't take care of kids. Those is all lies. Those is false constructs. So I know that was like kind of like an all over the place answer, but I guess to the most thing I would say that we're all both male and female as opposed as and when we talk about the ideology of it, when we're balanced, we're both. We're like equaled out. But when we're too far left or too far right, that's when we become toxic.
Mhm, mhm.
Well, good.
Mm, well,
And you can disagree or disagree. That's why we're here.
I don't know because what was the original question? We said that the original question because I was thinking while you guys were talking.
Right, right.
It was what?
Basically, what would
What
constitute
is being the masculine and what is being the
right,
feminine?
right, right.
Okay. And see, here is my thing. When you talk about masculine versus femininity, someone made a point, and I
Mhm.
believe it was you, D, that providing providing is a usually a male trait, but it's in today's society it's a female trait as well.
Mhm.
True. However, I do believe that if a woman is working and she is able to provide, a man should be working and able to provide as well.
Most definitely.
Um, and the bills don't stop getting paid because I make more money than you. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, um, I think what takes a woman's femininity away and a man's masculinity masculinity away is when we forget who we are
Mm,
as people. I'm a woman first. That means when I'm walking through this door, I don't care if you like women or you like men, but you see me walking through the door, you hold that door for me. I'm a woman. If you're a man, and it's just certain things I'm gonna do because you're a man. It don't matter if you like women or men.
Mm-hmm.
The respect for gender
Mm-hmm.
and the role in this society I feel like it should stay the same somewhat. In terms of providing, I have a couple of friends who they're the breadwinners of the family. However, that man don't stop paying bills, and then one of them don't pay no bills at all. He just sit there all day. And that person is very miserable because at the end of the day, you can't be a man and a female. I mean, a man and a woman. She has certain needs that needs to be met to balance her. That's how stress starts. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're not doing or contributing as the man, regardless of how much money you make, that's a problem. In terms of what you said, Doug, yes, you should be able to protect your family. Anybody should be able to protect themselves. But in terms of what our responsibilities, number one, to each other, I'm a woman first. And I'm always going to be that woman first, which means if I got to wear some lingerie and bring home that bacon, I need to do that because that's what my man needs. You know what I'm saying? Or if he needs that.
Right.
So when we get into talks about gender and the roles and providing, nothing changes. I'm still a woman at the end of the day, and you're still a man.
So let me ask you this. I mean, cut you off, Danielle. That's good though. I'm feeling all inspired and stuff and everything. But I would just want to know, like, because you a strong sister, and that I definitely salute that. Being a strong man as well, it would definitely balance out because I couldn't be with a weak woman. I mean, it's not about them being, overly soft or anything like that, but you have to be strong because the man has this mission that he has to be on as well as the woman, in my opinion. So my question to you, Danielle, would be, what do you think would be like the ideal type of man for you? Like, obviously, you wouldn't want somebody that you can walk all over, but at the same time,
I
you
can't.
who, yeah, you couldn't deal with that. So what would kind of like be your like, meet in the middle type of person?
Well, after I did, some work on myself and fell back from dating myself, what I realized is the type of person I need definitely has to be alpha. And he does have to be strong. He also would have to know what he wants and be able to assess if I could bring that to the table. Because if you want somebody that's going to go to school and be a doctor or get a PhD, I'm not the woman for you. But if you want somebody that you can really build a team with, then I would be that person. So definitely want somebody that is or should or needs somebody that's willing to work in a team. I always said in my 20s and in my I'm still in my 30s technically, but I always said
This age.
it's about to change real soon. But I always said I want somebody that I could trust with my future. And what I mean, not always just about me, but if we had a child or we had children and I died, I want somebody I could trust with my future. That could respect what we discussed for our child, that can pick up the pieces and raise that child. So those are things that I want. Somebody love God, somebody love their mama. Because I had a boyfriend one time. He didn't love his mama. He was talking about toxic. He was toxic and very violent. Had mama issues. Somebody who who's not scared to really say, well, I don't know how to do this, but can you show me how to do it, whether it's a man or a female? Because let's face it, out here, slavery got us so messed up
Right.
in terms of our family structure, that most men don't get to see how a real man works or
Right.
act. And I think it was your dad, Doug. He had a forum one time, and I thought it was a very good forum. And it was amazing to me. I was quiet. I sat outside in my car in my parents' house, and the guy he was advising all these men of great things to do. And I'm like, well, who doesn't know that? Who, like, it was normal to me.
Right.
But what I saw was a lot of young millennial men my age breaking down, crying because they didn't know. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
So definitely somebody who could say, well, I don't know how to tie a tie. I do, but at the end of the day, it doesn't mean nothing unless another man show a man how to tie a tie. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So those type of things. That's what I need. I need somebody that can communicate. Look, I grew up in a single family household, but I'm willing to learn. Oh, my daddy was a pimp, but I'm willing to break that cycle. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The willingness has got to be there. So
and then maybe the humility as well.
Humility, absolutely. Humility, because
it's hard to be able as a man to sometimes, like my wife is a registered nurse. Like I'm in the military. I got out and I got to see my daughter grow up. She's 7 now. So I got to help raise her. All the stuff that the guys in the military were missing, the kids being born on that, I got to see all those first. And I'm had it in my mind that that's what I was going to do.
Right.
I was working in the factory. She was going to school. She finished school. She was like, you ain't got to work in that factory. Now I still got money coming in, but I can't sit at the house all day and do nothing. So what do I do as a man? Let me fix this. Let me take care of that. Make sure the grass is cut. I'll go get that. Let me be the other part of this team.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though I got money coming in, she makes more than me. She works overtime. She makes more than me because she's a nurse. That's a field. I went to school, still doing the stuff, making sure the house is good, making sure it's clean. Something breaks, change the oil. Let me change the brakes. Let me do those things that, people peg as masculine. But let me do the things as a man that I need to do to make sure my family is good. If I'm in a relationship with a woman or prior to this, let me make sure that she is good. If she's good, then I'm good. And, so I see what you're saying about that. Like, just because she makes more money than you, like, I feel like I can't sit in the house. You making more money than me. I can't sit in the house and just sit on the couch, play Xbox all day. It's not within me.
Right.
Because that's going to get old.
Right.
Well,
That's
it does
gonna get old quick. And if another guy is out there, let's say he just sit on the couch, but then he get up and he go out and hustle, or he go help somebody move and make a couple dollars here, or he loves his mom, so he makes sure she's good, and he makes sure these people, he's got a good heart. That's gonna look a lot better than somebody just sitting on the couch stinking and not doing nothing.
Right.
So I see what you mean by that, and I was gonna say that I think what we're getting at more so because of those roles and everything that we feel is there's a difference between being a male and masculine. Like the male,
absolutely.
you're just a guy who's sitting on the couch. You know what I mean? But the masculine side of you is out there, trying to do something. That little bit of motivation to make sure that I'm good first. And even have the humility sometimes to say, I don't know, which is hard to do for any man or any person to just say, I don't know, because you don't want to look stupid.
Right.
But that comes from, like you said, slavery and us not seeing other men do that.
Right.
I think me and Mac been friends a long time, and the way we met, it wasn't no machismo, testosterone filled type of thing. It was a conversation. It was two men coming together having a conversation by way of our other boy, homie. And we just sat there, we just had a conversation. Oh man, he's a like-minded dude. Oh man, he exudes manhood. You know what I mean? Not necessarily masculinity, but manhood in the way that he acts, in the way that he dresses, in the way that he speaks. You
Absolutely.
know,
Absolutely.
we feel as though we can go together and have those conversations. And when it gets deep, there's no judgment.
Hmm.
I'm just the ear for you to listen. And as if, maybe that's that what can be steamed that feminine side, but the empathy to be able to sit and listen and not necessarily say anything.
Hmm.
We tread in these waters, and the experiences and the things that we go through can shape how we see femininity, masculinity.
Right.
And
Hmm.
but it's ever changing because we're ever changing. We're
Yeah.
learning.
And you know what? You made a good point because when I do date a guy, I do put him through a test.
I
Y'all
knew it.
gonna hate
Trial
me.
by
I,
I
fire.
put him
I
through a
knew it.
Uh
test, and
oh.
this is not toxic femininity at all.
That's
This
protecting
is,
yourself. Go
oh
ahead.
baby, this
Go ahead.
test. You want to know what the test is?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm gonna tell you. He got to cut my grass.
Okay.
Cut the grass because I'm gonna tell you, 9 times out of 10, if a man cannot cut grass, he ain't about too much. How
Mm.
you don't cut grass? I'm gonna be honest with you. Landscaping that builds character.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how you cut your grass, the pride that you have when your grass is cut, no scragglies at the end. See, I cut my own
Mm-hmm.
grass. You know what I'm saying? It builds character. And I got the nerve. I got to have one of those Seagrams afterwards, just like my dad had to have his
Mm-hmm.
beer. I have to have a Seagram afterwards. But even still, watermelon flavor, of course. But
Mm-hmm.
my femininity,
Okay.
it builds character. Okay. I think 9 times. How many guys? I've had maybe 3 come over to cut the grass. I felt comfortable enough to have them cut the grass, and they failed
Mm. Mm.
miserably. And that kind of showed me too, like, okay, did you got a daddy around? You don't have a daddy? What
Mm-hmm.
happened to your daddy? Yeah, I had a daddy around. Oh, you had daddy around? You cut grass like this? Mm-mm. Can't. Can't, because this is something that you should be able to do. It's in your DNA. And I shouldn't have to wait for you to cut the grass.
Should just be able to get up and do it.
You should be, when I get home or whatever, you got a day off. And I'm be honest, whether we dating or not, you know what? I saw your grass need to be cut. I know you probably don't like nobody touching your grass because I don't. But I couldn't sit around and let your grass look like that. That's respectable. That's honorable. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But you gonna sit and let my grass be 12 inches? Are you serious? Like that doesn't work for me. So the test is always grass cutting. So fellas, if you don't know how to cut grass, you probably need to learn.
Mm.
It's on YouTube. I have to YouTube it. But
What about
that's
the
something that matters.
what about the I had a girl I dated. She tried to do the test with me, but it was washing the car. Like her car was dirty, and to see if I cared enough about, oh, wash the car. Well, I mean, that ain't nothing. If you do it, I could take it to a car wash, or I could just, me being, frugal or cheap, as you want to call it, I can take some Dawn dish soap. I wash shit out this car. So you just wash the car. There's like, 3 or 4 of those tests. Mine for women when I was younger was if you can cook. That was a thing for me because that
Mhm.
shows that you were in the kitchen with your mother. I can cook. I don't need you to cook, but if you can cook, it's a plus. That one, and then Mac can tell you mine's music. So if I throw on some Isley Brothers and you tell
That's
me
what
it's or I throw on some Entombed, and you tell me, ooh, that's Biggie, and you just hear that, I gotta kick you out the car. You can't come. You got to go. Because you way too young for me. I can't deal with that. You don't know what that is. First thing you said was Biggie. It wasn't Entombed Juicy Fruit. Okay, that's all right. That's cool. It's not gonna go nowhere because I can say our tastes aren't what it's saying. So I can see what you're saying with the test and the grass
yeah.
because it is a big thing. Because I teach my son he can change oil, he can cut grass. My daughter can change oil and cut grass, and the little one, she's gonna
Exactly.
learn the same thing because I tell them all the time, especially going in relationships, being with men and women. You should always want to be with a person. You should never need to be with a person,
Mm.
and that's a trait I learned from a good older man. Be with
Mhm.
somebody who likes you, not the person you want. Because the person you like is really going to be down with you and maybe even equally yoked with you, with the traits that we're talking about being masculine and feminine. It may mesh well, but if you go after somebody who don't like you, I mean, you may end up with somebody who don't like you.
Right. But yeah, so I just wanted to throw this in here because I'm definitely well versed in the lawns, landscaping, and I can put a concrete, you know what I'm saying, driveway, all that stuff. But for the
Sir.
for the brothers out there that don't necessarily know how to do these things, it's not. I don't think that it should be a complete deal breaker. Because here's the thing: if you take the time to actually hire a landscaping company, or you go in and you say, hey, I don't know how to do this, and instead of me messing it up, let me hire a professional. That's still taking care of your business. See, one of the things that I learned, I got learned this from my grandfather, my dad, and other good men that had was around me that mentored me was as long as you're taking care of your business and your responsibilities, you take care of yourself, your family, you don't have to necessarily ever have to like doubt the fact, oh, am I, man, I'm doing this, I'm
Right.
doing that. So one of the things that I learned over the years is this: no woman, no real good woman is gonna want to be with somebody that wants to lose. They want to be with somebody that wants to win. So a lot of times, like my wife is hard on me. She be having me go hard sometimes. I'll be like, man, I don't want to do that. And then she still pushes me, but it's like tough love when it's needed. You know what I mean? Because if she was like one of those ones that really didn't want a lot, she wouldn't necessarily push me in that direction. But the thing is, I can take it because I'm strong enough to be like, you know what? Yeah, you're right about that. That was messed up. Let me go fix this. You know what I
Right.
mean? As opposed to not being able to, deal with it because I'm soft or because I'm too sensitive to, what I mean, to her criticism. But sometimes some of the criticism do be kind of, annoying. But anyway, but
So
like
two starts for change, maybe like
right, 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 right.
yeah.
But for the most part, I would say 99%. I actually see it coming from a really good place, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. That's making me get up today and really be on my A game as opposed to not wanting to do something or being like mediocre. So I think that a lot of men can take notes from I think the women out here is really setting the example as far as like leadership, and I like that because I mean the women in my family were very educated, very strong. Some of them, raised us in single parent homes, and some of us did, some of them didn't. But for example, like my grandmother, and my grandfather. My grandmother was well educated. My grandfather was like more like street smart, and he could like build stuff. Like he built a house by himself without going to school or anything. Very very intelligent, and the two of them combined made a hell of a force. And it's just like
Right.
he could
Mhm.
still be a man even though he didn't have letters. He still went to work every day, did what he was supposed to do around the house, took care of the kids, so on and so forth. And then my grandmother, even if she worked all day, she still came home, cooked, for everybody, so on and so forth. So it's like that balance. And for people to say that men, for example, can't be nurturing because that's a woman's trait, they're wrong. Just like a woman can absolutely be, they can give everything a man needs that he needs to be a man, even though it's probably better, in my opinion, to have both. If you can't have both, I think that the woman or the man can definitely provide what that child needs. But that's just my opinion from what I've seen and kind of like experience.
Mhm.
Especially if
Mhm.
you care. If you
Yeah.
care.
If
Like
you care, exactly.
if you
Hmm.
care. Like I would say like Danielle, she with her saying that that's what she's looking for with cutting grass,
Mm,
that may be something that she needs. Now, the other test for somebody else may be different. The test may be here, maybe different, but that's something she looks for. It means something to her. So if a guy can cut the grass, it may push him to the front of the line. But then another guy will get it professionally done. He may be right behind. She may be like, well, he didn't know, but he took the time to do that. And then let's say the next time he sees her, he goes, hey, you know what? Can you teach me how to do this? Or I learned a little bit. Let me know. Let me see what I'm doing wrong. And then that may push him. You know what I'm saying? So it's never just, oh, you can and you can't get the grass. It's there's levels to it,
right.
and
Hmm. Hmm.
doing the willingness, you know.
Hmm.
Um, women who, a man can be nurturing, a woman can be stern when she needs to be or whatever seen that way. We have, like she was talking about the roles. I don't think, and it's just my opinion, I don't think there's not very many women that can teach a man how to be a man. It's not very many men who can teach a woman how to be a woman. There are certain things that a man will exude and show his son, nephew, cousin, and the woman will show her daughter, niece, etc. And a lot of it is in what we do. We're very, especially when we're young kids, we're very ocular. You know, we're still learning. We're very emotional when we're kids, so we're still learning. So we're still seeing and shaping how the world is being shaped, and it's usually by the adults in our lives. So if I see my mother and my dad, they going at it. Rah, 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 rah. My daughter said this not too long ago, because she said me and my wife, we joke all the time. And she'd be like, y'all just do that, do that. And she said, but I do it. And then this guy can't, this boy I like, he doesn't deal that way. And I told her, I said, well, not everybody can deal with that. You have to communicate differently with different people. The way I speak to Danielle, the way I speak to Mac, these are my people. They look like me. I'm comfortable. Now, if your hue is a little lighter, or I don't feel as though your vibe is right, I may speak to you in a different way, because this may come off not in a different way, like, hey, how's it going? And life is good. No, I may, be a little more, cognizant of the words I use and the way things are presented. But, we sit here and we want to, because if I talk to a woman this way and I talk to my guy this way, you know what I'm saying? It's not out of disrespect. I can talk to my guy and maybe be a little more crass. But then maybe this person I know has, is a little more emotional. I can't be that stern. And I have to be able to be able to look and go and engage the situation and go, maybe I'll be a little more soft to my sister, because maybe she needs this at this point. Or maybe the situation she in dictates that I be a little more stern, like, hey, dude is an asshole. You don't need to be with him. He playing you and you falling for it. And that's just my opinion. You can take it or you can leave it. You know what I mean? So, when we go back to these gender roles, when we go back to masculine and feminine, when we go back to, our people and the roles that we play, it's a lot that goes into it. It's no easy answer, but you try to stay, as we say, where we're from, especially Midwest, you want to stay on code. There are certain things that you do as a man, certain things you don't, certain things you do as a woman, certain things you don't. And when you grow up and you learn those things, you're a little better equipped, because like y'all were saying, we got very educated women out here. We got very educated men out here. But there's some smart dummies out here. Everything ain't found in a book. And if it was, we'd all have a book on parenting. We'd all have a book on relationships that actually worked. But we're all learning. We're all learning through our experience and just trying to get to the next day. So it's, that's why I like this topic, because it's so many different avenues we can go and so many opinions, and they don't always mesh, but we can have a conversation and agree to disagree, and that's something that can be toxic too, not wanting to listen to another person because they're a woman.
Well, you know what? Let me just interject there.
Come on in.
When you was talking earlier, that reminded me of my mom and my dad again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what gets into his head, but when we have contractors over, the whole family got to sit down. We all sit down, me and my sister. My sister has a finance degree. I have a business degree.
Right.
And my dad just got the money, right?
Right. He's the person that gives that. Okay, cool.
Right. And so
yeah.
Well, we talk about their house though.
Yeah.
So mom would say, well, I would like to see this happen. I'd like to see that. And he just straight up like Martin heard. And what you could just sit back and just listen. And we always have to jump right in. We have to stop it like right there.
Yeah.
Because we like, wait a minute. Back in the day, you might have been able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't gonna talk to our daddy like that, Johnny. I mean, our mama like that. And we always have to correct that. So because she is the woman, she can't have a say-so when it comes to things that happen with her house. But when we're around, daddy, you don't try that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So we do toxic masculinity again.
Yes.
Mm.
because that old school way of doing things
Yeah.
don't exist anymore.
Right.
Like we say, we'll take her to the best divorce lawyer we could find. You want to play? You
Yeah.
know, but that's the way we are. But we just be joking. We love our
Yeah.
dad
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But we do have to kind of put both of them in check.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
And show those
Um,
boundaries.
to show the boundaries. Or again, if we feel like it makes us feel bad
Mm-hmm.
for the other one, then we're gonna say something. So, it's been times I'm like, Mom, don't talk to my dad like that. They don't talk to my mama like that. But when a contractor comes over, almost every time he tries it, I think he like to see us jump down his throat.
Yeah. Or almost as if he's kind of what they say, showing out for company.
Mm-hmm.
Showing out for company. And
Showing
he
out
does
for
that
company.
well. He does that well. Can you still see me? I'm sorry. My
Oh, you
phone.
good. Yeah.
But
Showing out for company.
yeah, showing out for company. And we really have to get on him about that. Like, nah, oh, time out. Whoa, I never stop. No, we're not doing that.
So, Mac, let me try to take it this way too, since we're going there. So, since I'm figuring we're in that 70s, 80s, 90s babies, right? We
Mhm.
got the boom of information. We got the incept of the internet and
Mhm.
everything like that. We're more accessible to information, at least on
Mhm.
the onset, which is why I believe that we're more equipped to handle social media and things because we get to go outside as
Mhm.
opposed to our kids who stay insane, right? So
Mhm.
when it comes to that situation for our older living libraries and our people like that, give me 1 second. So our older living libraries and our people like that, do we, and correcting them, and letting them know, hey, this is how it's go.
Right.
Do they actually have to change? Like they're kind of set in their ways. So how do we go about
Right.
perpetuating them and making sure that they're in a place where they're not getting canceled or looked at a certain way? Like there's a difference between being homophobic and being homo ignorant.
Mhm. Mhm.
Being ignorant of information and not and then being homophobic. I heard Donnell Rollins say that.
Mhm. I don't cancel. Well, certain things I do. If I feel like it's ignorant and it could be dangerous and toxic, then yeah. But like my dad, when he say little stuff, what I do is I look at him with a look, and then I put my hand on his knee and say, "Well, Dad, what do you mean by that? That concerns me. I'm offended by it. I'm sure this person is offended by it too." I never do it in front of anybody, but I check
Oh
them.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Daddy, what did you mean by that? That concerns me.
But that's an
Or
example. I mean, cut you off, D. But that was an example of changing the narrative.
Mhm.
Staying
A
on
lot
code.
of it's a lot of things that we do every day, totally unconsciously that we even do it. Like
Mhm.
I had to correct my mother-in-law the other day. It was a small thing, it wasn't no big deal. But my mother-in-law was like, her dog is a male, right?
Mhm.
And she was like, stop squealing like a girl. And I was like, what? I was like, you can't say that. You know what I'm saying? You gotta stop saying it. Like, how do girls squeal? And then I checked one of my friends. We was sparring, and the dude was like, I was like coaching him, and he's like, dude, you hit like a girl. And I was like, yo, so it's some female athletes that can knock you out. What do you mean they hit like a girl? You know what I'm saying? It's
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
certain things we say to kind of like minimize and marginalize the other sex is not cool, and we got to stop doing it. But it starts within ourselves. It's like some of the stuff that I've been like kind of like changing around how I use certain terms and what I say. It's like, whoa, I can't say that anymore because of what I know now.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
once you
So,
learn, it's like a
yeah.
permanent change of what you used to do. You don't do that anymore.
Right.
So just to kind of like, because I was listening a lot. One of the things I feel like, and I'm not going to take too much time on this, but one of the things I feel like will cause somebody to be some kind of phobic, not just homophobic or race phobic, is ignorance, right? So
Mhm.
Ignorance. Yep.
a lot of people are ignorant to certain things and they're not open because they don't know and they don't understand. So therefore, they just go off of what other people say, group think, so on and so forth. So they don't take the time to actually go out and do the research for themselves. And I think that's why a lot of people stay stuck in, wherever they are. You have 60-year-olds that still act like 25-year-olds, and that's unfortunate. But that's one of the reasons why we're here, is to help change the narrative and to get the information out, because a lot of people don't read. So therefore, we'll take our research, put it on audio, and then they can just listen to it. Because I have no idea with that. I don't have no problem doing the research, recording it, and posting it and putting it out there in the universe. That's what I do. So but yeah. Shout outs to all the people that don't want to read, but they just want to listen. So I got you.
Hey,
Ain't nothing
it's
wrong with that.
okay.
As long as you
It's
soak up
okay.
the information.
Hey, you can get it any way you can,
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
especially
You can take the
nowadays.
vitamin by a pill, or you can inject it.
Yep.
Hey, that's true.
And
That's
you
true.
can drink them. So yeah,
Hey, man.
that's
Yeah, man. It's yeah, like I said, I was listening to, Donald Rollins, his brother is gay. And he's like, I want to come on your show. And he's like, why you want to come on my show? Because you want to let the world know you're gay? He said, no. He said, because I want them to let these people know my brother is not homophobic. He may be homo ignorant, but he's not homophobic. And I think that goes back to what we were saying about information and the way we digest it. It's harder for my grandfather before he passed. We would have conversations about everything from, he was a deacon, he was a preacher, he was a pastor. We have everything from religion to sports to life. And the way he was brought up, was a lot harder than how I was brought up.
Mhm.
And the time was different. Now that's not like I had to state today to somebody, that's a reason, it's not an excuse. Because when new information is presented, you should change. You should be learning. So back in the day, it may be feasible for a man to say, hey, you ain't got nothing to say about this. You ain't making the money. I got this. You know what I mean? Back then. Now it's putting, minimizing the role of your other partner in the house. And we can't do that.
right.
Before we knew about what it was to be, masculine and feminine. Now we have more information. What we didn't know what back then was just somebody being an asshole. Oh no, you being toxic. That's a whole different level. Oh, you being female, you being a pain. Oh, you being toxic.
Right.
Oh, okay, so that's what it is. And then as you become more educated and learn, oh, you being narcissistic. That's a little deeper than just being toxic. Being toxic, you can change. You can choose to change, or you should use to change, because at the end of the day, what happened to candor? What happened to, just being a good human being? I'm not going to treat Danielle any differently than I would treat my mother. I wouldn't want nobody to treat me differently.
Absolutely.
So why would I want to do that to somebody else? And I think a lot of the toxicity that's between males and females goes back to people really don't care about anything until it affects them.
Until it affects them.
Not everybody, but a lot of people. And if Matt goes and for some odd reason, somebody passes. Oh man, you know what? They had a good life. You be all right, man up. That's not what my man's needs to hear.
Right.
That's not what he needs to hear. You know what I'm saying? Or some stupid shit I've heard somebody say, oh man, you got another grandparent. You got another parent. You'll be all right. Like does that minimize the fact that I lost my other parent? Like,
right.
you know what I'm saying? Oh man, let me do this. There's those things there that we just kind of look at somebody and go, man, like you being a real dick right now.
Yeah.
Or you're being toxic, or are you being something worse? And it's so hard today because with all the videos and all the media and all the information, now it's even hard to find out which information is right and what's wrong.
Right. Well, that's why we here, brother.
That's why we here to try.
We got about 2 more minutes.
Go ahead. We're trying to get Murky through this murky water.
I'm gonna let y'all get this, but I just want to throw this out here. We basically, for this part 1, we just peel back the layer, because I'm telling you, this
peel back the layer. That's
topic, this particular topic is so deep to where I want people to really understand, like, some of the things that, because everybody do it. I mean, I don't care who you are, how educated or not educated. You do certain things, say certain things. Oh, that's that's gay, or that's
Mm-hmm.
that's too weak, or that's too feminine, or that's too masculine. You
Stop
do it
acting like a bitch.
right, exactly.
Like,
That's
what does
very
that mean?
toxic. Can't say that no more.
No,
But
you can't say that.
yeah,
What,
you
what does
can't
that
say
mean?
that, but people still say it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let Sister Danielle 30 seconds, and then Brother D, and then we're gonna have to sign off on this one, and I'm gonna jump right back with y'all on part two. So, Sister Danielle, what you got?
Well, I just want to leave this with everyone. First, examine self before you try to get to know someone else, and um, heal yourself before you seek refuge in someone else. Make it a point to be whole and and knowledgeable of your own triggers before you go into that whole realm of relationship with others. And that's pretty much it.
Okay, Dion.
Ditto. Ditto. She said everything. That makes you got to acknowledge yourself, and healing your own traumas will keep you from making new traumas.
Mhm.
Okay.
Oddly plausible.